Welcome back, everybody. Today, as you see, I'm standing in front of the Cobra. I'm going to be installing a, as you can tell by the title, Driveshaft spacer. This is a 3/4 inch Driveshaft spacer that I got off of LMR. Comes with new hardware, longer bolts. Reason for this is you want typically about an inch and or about 3/4 of an inch to at most like an inch and a 1/16 of your slip yoke, your sticking out of the output of the transmission. I've got about an inch and a half right now, so I'm going to put this in to get it down roughly around to that 3/4 mark, 3/4 inch. Reason for this, obviously, solid axle swapped car. When I did the solid axle swap, I took rather than swapping the yoke on the ring gear or on the pinion gear, I actually swapped the joint on the rear end side of the drive shaft. It made it a little bit shorter. I did that intentionally because this will allow me to essentially use the stock drive shaft if I ever did a T56 Magnum swap, because then I can just take this drive shaft spacer back out and should have just the right amount of clearance based on what I've got measurement wise. So anyway, the car is sitting on the ground right now. It's a really simple swap or install, because it's really, once you get the car up in the air, it's just 4 bolts. The trick is whether or not you can get the drive shaft out, because usually there's 1 or 2 of the bolts that the drive shaft is in the way on, depending on your drive shaft angle. If the way mine's set up, it should be fairly straight. However, I may have to play with it. I'll cover all that here in a little bit. I'm gonna try to get it raise it up so that I can have the rear suspension loaded if possible. That way I can show you the actual difference it makes on the what's sticking out of the slip yoke. So I'm going to work on getting the car up in the air, and I will be back. All right, so I got the car up. I'm not going to be able to get it high enough to work on it with leaving the suspension loaded, so I'm going to show y'all real quick what it looks like to give you an idea, and then I'll do it again after we're done. So as you can see, that's what I'm talking about. If we take the, theoretically, I guess I can grab the drive shaft spacer. Got the straight spacer, and theoretically it'll cut it down to about there. So I'm gonna shift fire on how I'm lifting the car up, get it higher so I can work on it, and that means I'll have to do it with the suspension unloaded. And yep, so anyway, I'll be back real quick. Okay, so I'm under here. There's usually just 4. Some cars are different. Newer Mustangs have like 6 or something. But anyways, you can see, like, there's one that's always in the way, or that's hard to get to. So what happens is you end up having to once you get most of them broke loose, you know, taking the car, putting in a new neutral, shifting, rotating this so you can get to the last one. That's why you don't want to put the tires under ramps or whatever when you're doing this, because if you can't get to that one and it's under ramps, then you can't get to it. So anyway, I think those are 12s on the factory ones. Of course, these aftermarket ones are Allen's, so that'll be a switch. But I think I have a 12 out here somewhere. Yep, so I got a 12. I'm gonna try just make sure it fits so I don't tell you wrong. it is a 12. But you know, you need a little bit more torque than what a little bitty ratchet wrench can get. So I'm gonna get to work on that. I'll be right back and I'll let you know how I got it loose. Okay, so all I ended up needing was a small 12mm wrench and a cheater wrench just to get a little more leverage. And then once I got them broke loose, I would use my little ratchet wrench to take them out, make it a little bit faster. Took about 10 minutes. You do have to, like I said, there were the way the drive shaft was oriented, I had to, you know, rotate it once to get it to where the topmost 2 bolts were easy to get to. So basically I did 2 and then put it in neutral, took the parking brake off, got back under there, rotated it to where I needed it, came back up, put it back in gear with the parking brake, and then took the other 2 off. It's kind of a pain, but that's kind of how you do drive shafts for the most part on cars. Lifted trucks, it's not as big deal because you usually have plenty of room, but then again, lifted trucks usually have some funky drive shaft angles that, you know, get in the way also. So my car, the drive shaft's almost completely level when the suspension's loaded, so that's really not an issue. You know, drive pinion angle and all that stuff is not really a big issue for this car. But anyway, I'm gonna get to installing this bad boy. Show you where, just to eliminate confusion, I'll show y'all how it goes. So as you can see, the drive shaft's just kind of hanging there, and pinion flange, it just kind of rests up there. It's hub centric, it fits in there. It's got a little ring on this side, little index on the drive shaft, and I mean, hell, as you can see, it's kind of sitting on its own right there. But that's beside the point. I'm gonna get a couple going. I'll probably put it on time lapse so you can see this part, and I'll be back. All right, so it's on, done, and I'm fixing to show you the difference. As you can see, it's sitting a lot closer. That's still kind of far out. It's more than I would like, but it's in there. Either way, that's another one down. I do have a little bit of vibration issue right now, so that's what prompted me to do this. Now, if that doesn't fix it, most likely I need a new slip yoke and front U-joint, which you do those at the same time anyway. And if I do that, you know, that should clear it up. Again, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really rarely drive this car anymore, and I rarely get on it. When I do drive it, I mainly just enjoy the drive. So but anyway, that's one project down. Until next time, I'll be back.